let's have a look. We're going live, and we're live. Fantastic. We are definitely very yellow.
We are.
Definitely. We are definitely, right, so I'm doing what I always do. I'm going into the group, and there we are. We are very yellow on Facebook as well. Look.
Yellow is our thing, special
It's
to
our
us.
thing. It's our thing, definitely. Right, let's just do this so I can see who's coming in. Fab. It is so cool that we're actually doing this. How long have we been waiting to actually...
I know.
Oh, brilliant. Love it.
We got our act together. We're here. We're in the yellow.
Exactly. So when you jump on, let us know that you are watching, and remember that we are streaming on StreamYard, so you need to give Facebook permission to show your name. Otherwise, you'll come up as Facebook user. So jump on and say hello. As you know, the Shine Your Light interviews is all about meeting, chatting with CFG members and shining their light on their amazingness, which is very apt today, as we have the amazing Helen. And we were just talking about the fact that we've known each other since June last year. And I will let Helen tell you the story, because it was quite yellow, was quite poignant, wasn't it?
It was. We were at the university in Heathrow, and I was totally traumatized because the guy that was running the show was using massive square spotlights, and so I had gone blind over lunch. And I was actually becoming quite tearful because the pain in my eyeballs, it was literally like someone was drilling my face, my skull. And then I was about to run. I thought, I can't do this. I can't see anything. I don't know anyone. I'm going to run. And then I see this yellow jacket. And so I followed it. I said, could you help me? I can't see. And the rest is history, really. That was the start of an amazing experience between us.
Yeah, and everything, when we were talking about the fact it was June, when you just think, oh my God, when you think about all the things that we've done.
Oh, it's been every week we've done something together, haven't we, since then?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's been really epic, and I know that we've spoken on the same stage many times, and we're now, hoping we can actually start doing that again.
Yeah.
When products get the grip. That's another story. So what I want to do is, really, your story has so many different journeys and paths, and we'd have to literally be on all week to really sort of get to the whole depths of your story, because it is so unbelievable. So if you were to talk about something now, because I know that you're really now starting to share, being all about self-love architect, how important it is. And we talk a lot about boundaries, and I know that's something that we have spoke about quite a lot, haven't we? So, and being able to find your voice. So why is that so important to you?
Well, I think that when people label things like, oh, you should set boundaries, or, boundaries being the label, I always felt really intimidated, and I didn't really understand, because the words just didn't connect with me at all, so I couldn't relate to it. But I was struggling in my past. I've struggled with not falling into toxic relationships, even in my own family, in my own household even. At some point, people would be doing things and I'd be feeling really upset, and I'd be sort of, why is this happening? Why haven't they heard what I've said? And what I was struggling with was the relationship between the actual labelling, the word boundaries, and what that meant to me. And there was a huge sort of bridged gap in between where it just wasn't resonating. So I didn't fully understand. And then I think we were doing a workshop, weren't we? And you'd asked for examples of things that people say that you've heard, and then you've carried on saying them to yourself. And that was a really poignant moment for me, because I started to realise, well, the most important thing to me, and the most important thing that's always been within me, is being able to say, I want this, or I don't want this, or I love this, or I don't love this. You know, it's always been really, really high up there as priority for me to be able to say that. And I have become frustrated, angry, quite tearful, quite shaky and upset in the past when that voice has not been heard. So this year, with all the craziness that's going on in the world, I've been completely relentless with this. Like, I've been teaching it pretty much every day. I've been running workshops off of social media, and I have clients. And one of the things I've noticed is this boundary thing. It's being so important to set boundaries. But when you label them as boundaries, sometimes it's getting lost in translation, when actually what you should be saying is, please just tell me what you want. How do you feel? It's like I can count on one hand the amount of times in my history I've actually sincerely been asked that. And so I've become quite fierce in saying, I want this, I don't like this, I want that. But then I sound really sort of masculine, for want of a better word. I sound really direct and blunt most of the time. But when somebody genuinely and sincerely asks you, Helen, what is it that you're feeling right now? You know, then you can explain. And then that then becomes a boundary, because then that you're setting limits then. You're kind of saying, well, I feel like this in this moment. And then another person can't intrude on that. So to me, that's what the boundary thing is all about. It's like being able to really recognise what I want, what I feel. Like that day we met, you know, my every single boundary line was crossed. You know, I couldn't see, the lights were blinding me. The guy kept saying, you know, he didn't respect anyone that wasn't making notes. Now, I can't read my own handwriting because I'm visually impaired. I'm severely partially sighted in bright light, blind in fact, when there's brilliant light going on, which was the case that day. And he singled me out at one point and said, you know what, you're not making notes. You know, what makes you so special? You know, and I was absolutely mortified. Wow. I was mortified. This is why all these things were leading up to me running out the door. But I didn't run out the door, you know, because I found a voice, and then I saw you're yellow. And I said, can you help me? And you asked me, what can I do to help? And I was like, well, the lights are too bright, I can't see. And you straight away said, what if I stand here, can you see me? And you were going through step by step, you know, to make it. And I suddenly thought, actually, I can do this thing, because this lady's gonna wave and stuff, and she's gonna do hand signals, and yeah, I felt empowered. So just between us, you know, that was always the basis of our relationship. Was you recognised in me something, you know, some crazy shit. My crazy matches yours.
Oh, I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, my crazy matches yours. No, that was the basis of our relationship, was, you know, 100% respectful, but not everybody's like that. Some people think they know better for you than you do, you know, and they're trying to be well-meaning, and they come across as very caring and very loving, but actually it's just intrusion. And when you say that's intrusive, they then get all, you know, butthurt and upset, and then there's a boundary issue, because then you have to become fierce and say, well, actually, I didn't necessarily mean it in that way, but back off. You know, you got sort of, you know, so I think that's the most important thing for setting boundaries, because I have been through so many horrific experiences in my lifetime, from a baby right up till, you know, a few years ago. And one of the things that was key for me was never being able to make my own choices. So I'm really this is me now, I make all my own choices, because at the end of the day, the only thing I'm in full control of is my own mouth, you know, my own voice.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. And I will never forget when you came and spoke at my event.
For the first time.
Yeah, honestly, and I was in tears in the most beautiful way, because I am just so glad I wore yellow that day.
Hello.
And that we met, because I really am aware of what may not have happened if we hadn't. I am aware of that, and so it is. I am very, very grateful, and I'm really looking forward to an exciting journey, because I can see we're going to go off-piste a bit, off-piste a lot.
Is there any other way, really?
But I love it, and I know that you've talked about lots of things that you went through, and I know a lot of your story. I don't know all of it, because there's so many different facets to it. What would you say was I'm not going to say the biggest, because what would you say was the most transformational moment where you knew that something had to change? You knew you had to take control, because control was possibly hadn't been yours for a long time.
Well, I think after I was raped by the two guys, and actually it was today, 2006, this morning, that it happened. So we're on an anniversary day. So when you asked me to do it on the 24th, I knew there was something I should remember for the 24th, but I didn't actually remember what it was. And it was later I messaged you and said, hey, the 24th, I remembered why that day is significant, So I feel really good sitting here on this particular day and talking about this. I really do. I'm just so humbled and thankful. But I think the transformational thing for me was, I did wake up paralysed from that experience. So I'd been raped by two guys, and on my way to an appointment one morning, on this day in fact, and they'd stamped and kicked all over my abdominal cavity and jumped on me, and I was fighting. I mean, I was a big woman. I was 32 stone at the time, and I was fighting, really fighting. But one of them had a knife and I couldn't see it, and it plunged into my neck there. I was very lucky. It just kissed my spinal cord, but it did sever the nerve channels. I say lucky because if it had have gone right through, then I wouldn't be sitting here right now, quite frankly. Yeah. But it kissed the area, so I was paralysed instead, from the diaphragm down, for 7 years. And during that time, I'd had Harvey, because I was pregnant with Harvey when this happened to me. After I'd had him, and I was lying in my room, sort of it got to around the 2008 time, and 2009, then 2010. And I'd been given tea, like cups of tea. People would give you cups of tea. Now, when you're paralysed from the diaphragm down, you can't reach. You can move your arm like this, but you can't reach for something, like actually move your arm forward or to the side. Yeah. So if the cup was just 1 millimetre or 2 millimetres, like a tiniest little bit out of my reach, it sat there until somebody decided to come back in to check on me and pass it to me, but stone cold, and things like that were happening. Nurses would come in to spray skin on my injuries, and it was quite horrific, because they didn't once ask me, is it okay to do this? They would just be walking in the room and like shoving me to the side and moving me about, and then pulling the sheet out from under me, which was soaked in pee, and God knows what else, everything, bodily fluids, blood, the works, and it was horrific. It was actually horrific. And I kept on thinking, I just don't want to be here. Just do not want to be here. I want to die. Please, for God's sake, I can't do this. Not one person was listening to a single word I said. Even if I said, I'd be lying in a pile of my own piss, and people would be going, but don't you want your sheet changed? I went, yeah, but you didn't ask me that before you started manhandling me. Of course I want my sheet changed, but it's just that you walked in the room. And so the more I complained, the more mental I guess they thought I was. So they started assessing me for mental illness, because obviously everybody's being so kind and so helpful. What the hell have I got to complain about? It was like that. So I felt like I was in this sort of like paradoxal kind of universe where I'm in my head going, yeah, but can I ask for my tea? Can I ask for something to eat? Can I ask? I don't like pears or celery, but they kept trying to feed them to me. That type of thing, And so the transformational thing came for me was I was lying in bed one day. Had nowhere else to go, right? I was lying in bed, and I saw this guy moving across the screen, but I could hear him saying that he had a broken back and his spinal cord was severed, same like mine. The nerve cord was ripped.
Right.
But But he was moving, and I was mesmerised, and I was watching this, and I was thinking, what is this? You know, he kept talking about energy, like how to raise the energy within your body, and I mean, is it okay to swear? I'm going, for fuck's sake, what the hell is this fucking idiot talking about?
It was really funny.
I
when
was
you
really...
just swore them, the sound went. so you said...
Universe.
I said, yeah. Now your sound's gone.
Has it?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
I said, I can hear you now.
Don't know what happened there. But no, yeah,
When you said you were there, it went... That's hilarious.
Oh dear. Divine intervention. Yeah, no, so the most transformational thing came for me was I saw this guy moving around the screen, and he was doing all these funky things with his hands, and he was talking about energy moving through the body. And I thought, what an idiot. But I was mesmerised. I did. I thought, what a fucking idiot. Like, what the hell, what is he talking about? Like, my neck, I couldn't move my neck, couldn't move anything, you know, couldn't feel my breasts, nothing. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm lying there going, what an actual twat. Like, but I was mesmerised. And it was that moment where I thought, well, what is this energy thing? What is he talking about? You know, and I started, in my head, I did start to feel like there was some sort of electrical current going through. I did start to feel it. And then the following week, they wheeled me in for a CT scan. Now, I'm not supposed to be able to feel anything, right? But they put the dye in, and they've lifted my arm up above my head like that. And they've put the dye in my arm. And I'd been sort of focusing and trying to feel this energy thing all those days. So it was about 9 days later. And they put the dye in my arm. And I don't know if it was my imagination. I just don't know. But it was the turning point, because I felt it going around my body. I felt it going around, you know, down my arm, down my shoulder, down that side, down that leg, up the other side, round, you know, like the contrast dye. And I felt hot. And so I think that was the most transformational thing, because then I started to learn where your mind goes, your energy flows. So even though I was paralysed, I stopped listening. I just stopped listening outside, and I started to become razor sharp with tuning into where my energy was going. And so I think that was the most transformational thing. You could argue that it was much later when I had surgery, when I convinced the guy to give me surgery and I stood up. You could argue that was it. But I actually think it was before that, the most transformational bit. Because it was learning that my mind could feel stuff, even though my body wasn't registering it. My mind was registering it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I believed it. I 100% believed it. And I carried on going and carried on doing it. So by the time I did get operated on and I did get to stand, I could feel. I felt my own energy. I knew where it was going. I knew every part. Like I could feel myself urinating. I knew when my body was emptying. I got that good at it. The signals, even though I couldn't see and I couldn't feel it, I knew the signals had changed. And then I said to one nurse one day, I think I've just filled up the bag. And she rubbed my hand and went, no, I'll check it later. And I said, check it now. See the voice again. My voice became different. I was like, check it now. And I looked like that and sounded like that. And she looked and she was like, wow, how did you know? You know? So it was like, I think that was the most transformational part. It wasn't the surgery and that. It was long before that.
Mm. And one part of that part of your journey about, you know, your amazing recovery from, well, it's all down to you, wasn't it? It was all down to you. It was all down to how you felt exactly. You truly knew that you were going to recover. And I think one of the most amazing things I've heard you say is I'm not going to tell about the running track.
Oh yeah. After I had rehabilitation surgery, it was the 31st of December 2012, I'd convinced the surgeon to have a look in my abdomen. I didn't think he was going to do anything. I just convinced him to have a look, and he asked me to lose 5 stone in weight, and I lost 8 by the time I went in. And when I went in, he looked at me and he said, I didn't realise you had albinism, you know, white hair, no pigment and all that. And he said, you would make a really good subject, because this is such an obscure surgery that you're asking me to look at. You would make such a good subject for my TV programmes. Now, I haven't watched TV for nearly 2 decades, so I didn't have a clue who this guy was. I just knew he was a specialist surgeon that specialised in obscure abdominal surgeries around the world. And so I just agreed, and like a TV crew moved in with us for a month in December, and they came with me down to the hospital, and I went, and we had the surgery. It was 9.5 hours, plus the two hours to wake me up afterwards, so 11.5 hours in total.
Wow.
Sort of 8 weeks after that, I got wheeled into a rehabilitation centre, and it took 4 goes to get me through the door, because I was actually agoraphobic and petrified by then, because I'd been on my back all that time. I was scared. I'm not going to lie, I was terrified. So it took 4 goes to get me in, because I kept having major panic attacks, and on the way trying to get in the door. They got me through the door. I held my breath. I was like this. Just wheel the chair. Just wheel the chair. So I was like that. Like all hunched up and screwed up. They wheeled me in. I held my breath for it. They wheeled me in on the 4th attempt. I got in the door. They said, open your eyes. So I opened my eyes. As I opened my eyes, they were all talking above my head, because there was a guy from the Marines at the Centre of Excellence. There was a guy from the Marines, the personal trainer who was going to be responsible for my care, a doctor, and another couple of specialists. They were all talking above my head. In front of me was an athletics running track. And in my head, I couldn't hear a single word they said, because in my head, I'm running. I'm doing the whole Chariots of Fire bit, I'm gliding around that track, the wind's blowing my hair, I feel amazing, and I could smell it and taste it, and I swear to God, I was there. I was in the zone. I was running, right? So I'm looking at this, and that was my inner dialogue, was I am running. I am running. It wasn't that I'm going to run, or that I probably could try it, I was no 2 ways about it. I am running, right? So they were, the Marine guy, they were all saying, no, you can't go out there. I said, no, that's what I want to do. They were saying, what equipment do you want to try first? And I'm like, no, I want to go out there. I want to smell the air. I want to smell the. And the Marine guy said, I believe her. And he was like, hey, honey, he's American. He was like, hey, honey, what day would you like to try running around there? And I said, I'm going to be doing it. I'm doing it Easter Bank Holiday Monday. So this was February the 8th. Easter Bank Holiday Monday was the end of April that year. Because one of my son's birthdays is the 18th, and it was like the following week. So he said, I believe her. He said, I've seen people in worse mindset, much weaker mindset than her, and they've achieved. So I believe her, because she sounds so sure. And I asked him, could he lift me onto the track? Now, I've never spoken about this publicly before, but I actually did ask him, can he lift me on the track that day? And he lifted me on. And as soon as my skin, my flesh was on this, feeling this, what do you call it, asphalt? I don't know what you call it. Yeah, asphalt. As soon as I felt it, I felt the most insane sense of being at home.
Oh, wow.
And from then on, every other day I was taken to this place, and I refused to exercise. I refused to even drink water or anything until he lifted me on there, because I wanted to feel it. I wanted to actually feel it. And the more he did this, the more I could feel it in my body. So I felt it on my legs, my feet, the more he did that. And then I started kind of like trying to crawl and stuff.
Okay.
But Easter Bank Holiday came, and Angelica she's smiling while I'm telling you this, because she was there. My daughter's sitting opposite me. She's actually smiling really huge. I wish you could see her. Her face is like just lit up. Easter Bank Holiday Monday came, and there was no one. And I pleaded with her, please come with me, Jelly. I'm going to try running around the track today. And we walked there. It was like 3/4 of a mile to get there.
Wow.
We walked there. So I walk in the door all triumphant, just as it started to snow. The woman at reception said to me, I've got to close the track. And I just bulldozed through the door. I was like, no frigging way. I'm running around there now.
Yeah.
No way.
No.
You get out of the way. Like, no way. Like, it's happening in this moment right now. Anyway, I went out there, and it started to come down. It started to come down quite heavily. I said to her, film it, will you, just in case I fall. Film it. So I stopped, start, but I got round the entire track, 400 metre track. And I tell you, it was the most magnificent. It was more magnificent than giving birth. Yeah, it proper was. It was the most magnificent moment.
I can only imagine. But when you tell that story, it's like, wow. Okay.
Well, it's the labelling system comes in because in the personal development self-help, if you're in America world, talk about manifesting as affirmations, making things happen, talking to yourself, making the manifestations real, visualizing and everything. And I didn't understand. It's like, honestly, I feel like I've been in a crash course learning foreign language since I've been a public speaker and running my own business, teaching people how to do various things. And one of the things I'm really big on is not using labels, because in the past, because I had the whole blindness when I was a child growing up, I've only had vision for about 5 years. I was legally blind before that. And so this whole experience, when I've done things, it's always been without reading the labels. So when I read words, I don't understand them. I genuinely don't understand them. And it's like people look at me saying, yeah, but she's so super intelligent. Why doesn't she understand it? I said, well, if you speak it to me, I'll get it. So they started talking to me about positive affirmations, manifesting, all that kind of thing. And I still didn't. I was like, yeah, but my experience was this. And then I explained that. Going, isn't that what you've just told me, but personified? Like, I didn't learn it from a book. I haven't learnt these things from teachings from other people. I sound like a child now, right? Because I'm getting excited. I didn't learn from teachings. Like, a lot of people have spent thousands of pounds going to personal development courses and events, and they do online events and stuff, and I myself run them now. But when I run my own, please leave your labels at the door, because they don't mean anything to me, because I didn't learn that way. I learned from actual experience. Like, the whole thing could be dissected as, yeah, she saw a running track, she wanted to run around it, so she manifested it, she made it happen. Yeah, you could describe it that way. But there was a hell of a lot more to it than that. I ran round that track in my head, my heart, my soul, my higher self, every area of me had run round that track about 5 billion times before I stood on it. You know what I mean? So it's like I wanted that so bad. Like, there was no way on earth that wasn't happening. It was like, because I could feel myself doing it, even though I was still quite injured at the time. I couldn't even stand for 10 seconds when it started. I knew I was doing it. Nothing else registered. People were saying, like, someone said to me, do you want some sausages? And I went, oh God, no, because I won't be able to run. I need spinach. I was like that. Seriously, I was like, my whole program completely erased. And I was just left with, I'm running. I'm going to be an athlete. I'm going to be an athlete. I'm going to run. And then the same year, Angelica and I took part in a charity race, a mile in Kent. It was around the cathedral and stuff. And we did it. We adorned the t-shirts, with the slogan on and everything. And Jesus Christ, we did that. We did that. I did that. But months before, people were looking at me and saying, look, I'm very sorry, dear, you're just going to have to get used to doing everything from a seated position. And I was like, but you don't understand. I'm running. I know how to run. I don't understand what you're saying to me, but I'm running. I just was totally blinded to the fact that I was in a wheelchair. The wheelchair disappeared. Honestly, so when I'm teaching now, and I'm inspiring people to manifest something for want of, to use the label. We use the label. When I'm asking them to feel, I'm teaching them how to actually have an internal dialogue with themselves and feel what they're saying to themselves, because there was nothing else for me. I was doing it. And similar to an Olympic athlete, now I've spoken to many people who've Olympic athletes now. And, some of them have become really close personal friends because I understand the mindset. They understand my mindset, and even like soldiers and stuff. If somebody says to a soldier, they have to go left and keep on going, There's no other option. There's nothing else in here. They're turning left and they're going. That's it. There's nothing else. There is no other thought. There is no other feeling. There's no other thought. They're doing that. Just that.
Yeah.
And so for me, when like I said to you 2 years ago, I said to you like in June, what was that, 16 months ago, 17 months ago, something like that. I said to you, like, I really need to stop being beholden to other people so that I can be independent, make my own money, and just not answer to anyone. I said that to you, but pretty much first week that we knew each other.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, great, come and speak at my event. I just said yes, you know. And then from that moment on...
It really was that simple,
honestly, I just said yes. I didn't even understand what I was agreeing to. I didn't even know. I was just like, from that moment on, I'm speaking at Lisa's event. That's it. There was nothing, there was no other thought process. And even on the day itself, I vividly remember saying to you, a couple of months later, I vividly remember saying, what was it you actually wanted me to talk about though? That's it. I was like, we did, didn't we, before the event? I was like, well, I've got a cup of tea, that's all right, you know, we're good.
I knew that I'll never forget when you came into the pod, and it was really funny because you were like, right, I'm going to need some time. Right, Helen, up you get, let's have a chat, come in, you'll go. And the look was as if to say, I cannot believe. It actually was worse than that, but it was...
I know.
It was like, come on,
I was shaking and everything.
And you were amazing. And everybody was sitting there sort of thinking, oh my God. And the moment I said to you, come and speak at my event,
I just said yes, that's it.
There was never a need to have a conversation.
I know, I didn't even know what the event was. I didn't know where it was. I didn't know anything. I was just like, I knew I was doing it. That's it. I knew I was doing it. I was always that person that hid. And I know it's hard to believe now, seeing me now, but I was always at every event. People would say, you know, who's got questions? I had like a billion questions swirling around, but I'd shrink as soon as a microphone came anywhere near me, and I'd be like this.
Yeah.
No, you're all right. I don't want to answer. No, it's all right. You know, I'd be like that, and then I'd go away and I'd cry because why didn't I ask my question? The only stupid question is the one you don't ask, right? And I know that because I've been a professional, like fancy. I had a fancy career as a behavioural scientist before I was injured, which is higher than a psychologist. You know, and I'd be advising expert witnesses to go to court and, you know, really top brass people. But I couldn't talk about my personal experiences. I just couldn't do it. And so when somebody was talking about something deeply personal to me and then they said about asking questions, I'd be like, no, it's all right. And I think when I did stand up, and do you remember the second time we went into the pod, you said, who wants to go first? I was like, me. Yeah, it just changed for me in an instant. It was the yellow, you see. It was the power of colour. It was yellow. It just changed for me overnight. In that instant, in a click. It wasn't even overnight. It was in a click. The whole thing changed for me because you asked me, and I hadn't been asked the question before. You asked me, do you want to do this? And I was like, oh yeah, 100%. That was it. You know, that was it. No one had ever asked me that before. I'm like, because most people were just taking it for granted. Oh, you know, we'll bring Helen's brains in, you know, she'll know what to do. And I was just on autopilot and just going along with stuff and doing stuff. But it was to enhance other people. It wasn't ever about me. And suddenly, the only thing I cared about was running, you know, and dancing. And Angelica, my daughter, and I, we joined 30s, 40s and 50s sort of jazz dance group. And we became swing cats, you know, we danced, and we had all the dresses, and, you know, I looked, I felt like I looked really good, you know, in a swing dress, and, you know, dancing around, red lipstick, you know, I felt really good, I felt amazing, but that was all I cared about. I didn't really pay much particular attention to how people were treating me until I decided that I wanted to be independent, and I really wanted to make something of myself, for myself, by myself, you know, and I'm just so monumentally grateful that you heard my voice that day. Because I was shaking, spluttering, crying, wasn't I? And I just couldn't cope. Marion came up to me and she was tapping my face and she said, you know about EFT? And I'm going, oh, yeah. And she's tapping my face, and I'm thinking, what the hell is this woman doing to me? You know, she's going up and down my leg, but I felt so good. I felt so good because I felt like, you know, I felt like I was heard. And like
Yeah.
I knew that I had skills. I knew already I was highly qualified. I knew that I had it in me to be this person. You know, I knew, and just like, you know, just in an instant, there it was, and I was doing it, and I just haven't stopped since.
Honestly, when I was on the phone, to somebody the other day because they were having some challenges. So I said, look, I'll jump on a call. And you know them, so I won't mention who it is, but you know them. So we were chatting, and she was like, "Oh, I love Helen." And I said, and I told her the story, and she went, "Are you kidding me?" And I said, "No." I said, she was petrified. I said she wouldn't get up and talk.
I know. I pretty much wet myself as well, and I said to you, I needed to go back to the hotel and change my clothes, didn't I? You went and got me a sanitary towel.
Yeah, and it's like it's like night and day. It's unbelievable. It doesn't surprise me because I could see it.
Well, you saw me. You actually had that privilege of seeing that. I showed you. Because I would normally be so scared to let anyone see me like that because it was a weakness. Don't show your weakness. Never show your weakness. Especially if you grow up I grew up on the streets pretty much, and you don't show your weakness. It's ingrained into you. Do not show it, ever.
Yeah.
But I was in my vulnerable state. I was at my most strongest. And I know that. You know, I recognise that. So everybody watching saying, oh, you know, but I felt vulnerable, I felt scared. Well, yeah, we all do. Even you have your moments, don't you? I mean, we all do. To say otherwise would be an absolute big fat lie. You know, at the moment, I can walk around saying I have no fear. You know, I'm not worried about anything, you know. But that would be a lie. Because things come up to challenge me frequently. You know, one of the things that I haven't done, I haven't sort of interacted on a personal level in a intimate relationship for 6 years. And so when faced with this, sometimes I'm like, oh, do I really want to? You know, like, and you know, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that I don't want to lose independence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when challenged, if my independence is challenged, I turn into a fierce monster. I'm like, what? No, this means everything to me. Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, your story has so many paths. I mean, and we've known each other a long time, and we've spoken a lot. And I know I don't know. There's still so many things that I don't know, and elements of your story. And I think one of the fundamental things is about health, and health is so important to you. And everyone that knows you, especially in here, will know the importance to you of your nutrition and what you eat, and being a fusion chef. Have I said that correctly?
Yeah, nutritional fusion chef.
And did that come from your cancer journey? Is that where that was born?
Yes and no. I've always been a cook.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, my biological grandfather, he knew that I was about to be given somewhere to live that would teach me independence, and he marched in. I'm her grandfather. He refused to listen that he wasn't allowed. He wasn't scheduled to visit then, and so he barged his way in, and he had this A4 book which I actually still have.
Oh, wow.
And he sat down with this A4 book, shoved a pen in my hand, and said, "You're going to write, my girl." He said, "If you know how to cook, you know, because my family, you know, I grew up with Anglo-Indian, yeah, so he's like, you need to know how to make rice. If you've got rice, lentils, some sort of onions and potatoes, you will never starve. And these things don't cost much money. You will always be able to feed yourself and your family. Write it down." And he forced me, pretty much at gunpoint, to write it down. And I wrote it down, and so that was the start, really. So I was a teenager, and then I passed all my home economics. It was called home economics back then. Cookery, kitchen skills, kitchen science, whatever. I passed them all by cooking things that we'd written in this book, and so that was the start. So people were really excited about the smells, the colours, the flavours, and I was just in awe myself. And I was like, this is so exciting. Food is so exciting. You know, everything is just amazing. So that was the start. And then I spent my entire adult life massive, because I'd forgotten all about those things. I mean, I carried on cooking for my family, but it was I was just a massive person my whole life, really, my whole adult life. And then when I did the whole running thing, and so 2012 I had the surgery, I became a runner in 13. I also became a mixed martial artist because I'd been learning about energy arts and the mind work, not combat, so not fighting, because I've had way too much surgery. I've had 15 rounds of abdominal surgery. So whilst I can handle myself in any situation now, I know that nothing bad will ever happen to me, like ever. I'm empowered. I couldn't really train in a combat kind of way, combat way. So I learned the mindset of a martial artist, which is you're a needle in cotton wool. So you're all soft, completely relaxed, just like I am now. But in an instant, you can become razor sharp because you can engage all your nerve endings, all the electricity running through your body and every muscle. So I learned that. I spent years learning that, and I'm so thankful for the lessons, many hours of lessons. But then they'd missed that I had 15 rounds of surgery. They'd missed that I had cancer because on the NHS when they do things, they only test for things that they're actually looking for. So they were looking at me for nerve damage, autoimmune problems, autoimmune disease, because I'd lost my spleen, I've lost most of my pancreas, quite a big chunk of my bowels, my stomach is made out of my liver, there's loads going on in my body, so they weren't actually looking for cancer cells, and I had aggressive stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma by the time they found it, and they told me I had 100 days to live. And so I was saying, yeah, but I understand about nutrition, I understand about holistic health, I understand about food, I have certificates, I have diplomas, I have 3 degrees, I was sort of, what's wrong with you, woman? Put it together. And so I did, and I've lost 109 kilos of weight, 109.9 kilos in weight, which is about 230 something pounds, I think. I used to be 32 stone, and I'm like 10 and a half, just under 11 now. So it's like, wow, wow, right? So I started documenting it, and I realised that what I was actually doing was a fusion of every single health diet plus Anglo-Indian food with a bit of the Italian thrown in, because I do like a bit of Italian, who doesn't, right?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, who doesn't? Cheese is my weakness. Cheese, Angelica's going to start beaming again, because cheese is her absolute weakness. I can go without chocolate for like 6, 7, 8 years, but cheese, no.
Yeah.
I love cheese.
We've all got our thing.
Yeah, cheese is our thing, right?
Yeah.
Cheese is our thing.
Yeah.
So I realised what I was doing was a fusion. So it was a fusion of every health kind of protocol plus the Anglo-Indian angle and a bit of Italian thrown in, like I said. Obviously not cheese with curry or cheese with spices or anything ridiculous like that, but I was fusing things together and they were working for me, and I became abundant in my health, and I've never really looked back. So I've written it up. I've written a book due to popular demand, because people have been asking me on Facebook in particular, now Instagram, people have been asking me for about 9 years, when are you going to put your recipes in a book, woman? When are you going to do it? So it wasn't that I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it in such a way that it was special to me, and therefore if it felt special to me, I knew that it would feel special to everyone that received it and everyone that had that in their lives. So it wasn't that, it's just like I said, I've had to go on a crash course and learn all this language, because I was blind before, so I did everything with my voice and with talking and feeling. I didn't understand about words and language on paper. I genuinely didn't. So I would write things by recording them on a dictaphone, and then the computer would type them for me.
Okay.
I've grown up with this sort of thing. I mean, obviously technology came in for me in the 80s. Prior to that, it was you record it in a dictaphone, someone listens to it, you pass or not. It was like that.
Yeah.
Words on sheets of paper and in books didn't mean anything to me, so I didn't actually know what they were. So it wasn't that I needed to learn to read, although I did need to learn to read. I still can't. I ask you regularly, like, what's that person's name again? Because if it wasn't spoken to me, I don't know it. If the word's on the screen, I don't know how to say it sometimes. And that's okay. That's okay. I have 3 degrees. My name is Helen. I have 3 degrees. I have the equivalent of a PhD. And I can't say words out loud that I read on screen. That is absolutely fine. I have no problem with this. I have no problem admitting and saying that, sharing that, and saying, look, we all have something, right? We all have something. For me, it's that I just can't make the relationship between reading and my brain. It just switches off. Just switches off. So I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I like reading. Last year I set myself a challenge to read 100 books in a year with my eyes, and I managed to get to 101. And I was dancing around the room, Lisa, because I've never read a book. I'd never done that. It was just something that I never did. My daughters were, Harvey, a bit, Ivan magazines, Car, the Auto Trader, that sort of thing. But I hadn't done it. People were saying, oh, but you talk like you're so well read. And I felt a bit embarrassed. I was a bit ashamed, if I'm honest, because I thought, I've never picked up and finished one. So last year I set myself the challenge, I'm going to read 100 books this year. And Imogen was really supportive, my daughter, and she was like, oh, you got to try this one, Mum, you got to try this one, So we were reading quite a few of them together. Like I'd finish it and she'd read it, or she'd finish it and I'd read it. And we were talking about them and comparing them and stuff, and we became quite close doing that. But it was amazing to do that, read 101 books in a year when I couldn't understand language in print before. It really did feel massive, because like I said, I did all my degrees and my qualifications by speaking.
Yeah.
It's just that it wasn't personal material, so it was easy to do. It's when you're talking about personal stuff, that's not so easy. You feel gagged.
Well, that's got the emotional connection, hasn't it? So when you actually verbalise something and there's such big emotions linked to it, it sort of magnifies it, doesn't it? So it just makes it so huge. I've got to read some of these messages because you need to hear them. Okay.
No, I haven't got tissues. It is emotional. It is emotional to say. I've pretty much got the equivalent of a PhD, but I couldn't read. It's massive. It is massive. And people do look at me and go, but you're so super brainy. I frequently score in the top 2% of the country for everything. But it's like, because I can hear, I can smell, taste and hear. And it's like, well, why does everyone rely on their eyes so much? The world is so much different when you close your eyes and experience it without eyes, So totally different. And you feel it. So that's what I teach now, is how to feel stuff. Not rely on these too much.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tina is saying, you are amazing and the most inspirational, unique and maverick person I've ever met.
Love that word, maverick, thank you.
Jodie said, I love the point about the non-attachment to labels. Roz is saying that's amazing. Sorry, I know that some of these, we may not realise exactly what it's relating to, but we do love a chat, don't we? Tina said, I love you, Helen, and everything about you.
Love you.
Jodie, there are more comments, people saying hello. And Jodie saying, can totally relate to the not being able to talk in the past. Yeah, it's huge. So we've got a few watching, so they're all sort of saying hi. So, and now when you talk about the things that you're doing and the things that you're planning, it's so in alignment with you. And it's so beautiful to watch and to be, to see. So tell everyone what it is that you're, what is it you're doing now? What is it that lights your world up?
The key thing is, we've all had a long period of lockdown, and we've all been kind of like in our own sort of like, I don't want to use the word bubble, but bubble, right? We've all been in our own bubble. We've all been in our own world at home. And people, I've heard this line so many times, and I just got angry enough to do something about it, I think. I've heard people say, look, I haven't achieved anything today. I had this whole list of stuff this morning, and one thing after another, I haven't achieved anything. And this is particularly relevant to mums. And right? What I'm about to say. It's relevant to everyone, but this part is for us mums, right?
Yeah.
We wake up in the morning, from the second I open my eyes, some big massive pile of shit has arrived in my room. Someone's talking to me, someone's like, before I've even had a sip of water or anything, someone's like saying, oh Mum, can you help me with it? Can you do this? Mum, I've had this problem. Mum, this. You can't even go to the toilet without someone talking to you through the door. Yeah? So you get to like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and all the stuff that you wanted to do, like I might have wanted to do a drawing, or I might have wanted to do a painting, I might have wanted to do some sewing or anything, right? But because I've got to like 5 o'clock and I haven't done any of those things that I desired to do, I start bashing myself and saying I haven't achieved anything today. But when I write down everything I've achieved, everything I've actually done, step by step in every moment, there is a massive, massive list. I've been a manager. I've been a timekeeper. I've been, I've documented everything. I've done the cooking. I've planned the shopping. I've done, there's masses of stuff. Masses and masses and masses of stuff. So by writing it down, and by getting people to acknowledge that actually you haven't stopped all day, you've been on autopilot. It's just things that you do every day, all day, every day, when you've got a family, right? That's why I said this is specific to mums. Anyone that's got a partner at home who's putting pressure on them or expectations to provide, because I've experienced that in the past as well, the expectation to provide and perform like a seal all day, every day is quite intense sometimes. When you're in that mindset, but I haven't achieved because you wanted to do a painting or something special for you, it's not the case. You have achieved stuff. It just wasn't your heart's desire. So for me, I write that in. One day somebody said to me, oh, you should set alarms, and I'm like, the day I set an alarm, the day I want to chop my arm off. I set alarms for everything now. When I first heard it, I thought it was preposterous. I couldn't imagine myself setting an alarm for 4 p.m. to sit and do a doodle. Right, I swear to God, I set an alarm because I know that my brain is just getting with everybody else's stuff, So I regularly, on a fairly regular basis, set an alarm for, say, just for an example, 4 o'clock, and I will fill a page of A4 with doodling. No concentrating, nothing. Just pen. I'm not even looking at it half the time. I'm just like, well, it's 4 o'clock. I've told myself I have to do this, and I'm just there doing it like that until the page is full. And then I get up and walk off and carry on autopilot, and I feel good because I've done something. That's not their shit. It belonged to me. It was just scribbles on a bit of paper, but they were my fucking scribbles, yeah? So I empower people to think in those terms. I know I shouldn't have sworn then probably, but it felt appropriate because you have to develop a fierce mindset with yourself. Like, you have to be your own best friend. Like, you're my best friend. So if you told me, Helen, I've just had all these calls and that, I'd be saying to you, have you finished a cup of tea? Did you see the bottom of the cup? Come on, woman, drink one with me. I'd be like that. Like, let's sit down, and you can't move until you can see the bottom of this cup.
Yeah,
like it's discipline. It's being your own best friends. You should be saying that to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of the first things I changed, actually. I made myself a cup of tea, and I did not give a flying anything until I finished it. I couldn't hear nothing. That was the first thing I changed. Because, us women in particular, you're sat there. How many of you have got a cup of tea sitting next to you right now and you're just ignoring it? It's just there, or a coffee or a hot drink of some description, and you're going to sip it at the end of this cold. See?
Yeah.
How many of us do that? We do it automatically to ourselves. Why don't we deserve to be special enough to make it and actually enjoy it?
Yeah.
In the moment. So that's pretty much, I run courses all the time now, pretty much. I've worked solidly this year. I wasn't expecting it. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
The lockdown, the situation has actually been good for me because I've been able to connect with people. It's like with the visual impairment thing, it's very hard for me to make eye contact sometimes and actually feel people. And I felt disabled in the beginning because I had to learn all the technology. I couldn't read the words on the screen, you know, that sort of thing. I felt frustrated, and I think I was like bitching to you quite a bit about that in the beginning. But I learn. You know, I've learned the technology, and I do connect with people, and I do run the Zoom courses, and I do run regular groups on WhatsApp. WhatsApp works for me because when I put my videos, my teaching videos in there, and there's a group of people watching them every day, and then we all sort of discuss them in the evening.
Yeah.
It's very easy for me to keep up and keep comments. But when you go on social media and your notifications are getting caught up in all the other notifications, and being a public figure, I do have a vast number of notifications. I didn't want special people's words getting lost in amongst that sea. And also, the other thing with WhatsApp is you can leave voice notes longer than 60 seconds. So people
absolutely.
regularly leave me voice notes during the workshops, and therefore I can play them and I can feel the words rather than it all being words on a screen that really I don't want. I don't want to be one of those people that absorbs things just from the written word on a screen, because at the end of the day, yes, it's important to connect. Yes, it's important. And I do publish several articles a week on my Facebook profile, as you know. So the written word is really important. But at the end of the day, it is just words on a screen. You know, when you get that authenticity with the vibration from the voice and the frequency from the voice, it's a whole different experience. So at the moment, I'm running a workshop. I'm starting another one on Monday actually. It is a paid for workshop, but it's minimal fee. But, you know, I do have to put food on the table, so I can't continuously work for free. It is a paid for course, because it does take a lot of energy putting these things together for you. And it is a very special thing to do. You know, I do use my heart and soul and put my heart and soul into everything. But it really is to teach you. Well, it's to teach you to appreciate who you are, recognise who you are, and really become your own best friend, and be able to say, by the end of the 5 days, you'll be able to say very clearly in no uncertain terms what it is you want out of life, instead of just being a vessel for everybody else's journeys. Because so many of us do that. We're so kind. We want to help everybody. You know, my dog is your dog. I love you. You know, you want to be there for everyone. You want to be everyone's best friend. But really, you forget that you need to be your own best friend. I think it was in the book Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert. I first heard that in 2012 when I was in severe recovery from all these surgeries. And she said she became her own best friend, and that stuck, absolutely cemented into my psyche. That, because I didn't have a best friend. I had no one. I was just lying on a mattress covered in shit and piss all day. I had no one except my daughter. You know, I had no one. And so I became that person. I became that. Like, what would you like? I was asking myself, what would you like? Actually, I don't want my hair washed in washed up liquid. I want it to be washed in really expensive, luxurious shampoo. Or I don't want some mediocre thing put on my skin. I want something really luxurious, you know, like, you know, so I started to ask myself these things, like, what would you like? What would make you feel good in this moment? And I was providing them for myself, you know? So it's like, I understand it. I understand completely how easy it is. You start off by being a very kind person. Everybody thinks that you're weak, and they start piling stuff in your direction. And you want to be there. You want to be helpful. You want to be kind. You want to give love, especially if you've been abused and traumatized in the past. You love everyone. You want to give to everyone, and you want to be available to everyone. But you forget. You forget this, you forget yourself. And I know that through bitter experience. 8 years can pass. You have an idea, I really want to do this. 8 years can pass in the blink of an eye, and you think you still haven't done it. Well, why haven't you done it? Well, because I was helping this one and I was helping this one. I was there for my daughter, I was there for my son. My husband needed this, my wife needed this. You know, my cousin actually phoned up the other day, and you know, the list is endless. You know, it just goes on, and it plays out on repeat. So this will be the 4th time I've taught this course. It's been hugely successful. So it's just 10 people at a time, because that's easier for me to connect with and really feel, and you can feel me. But that's my next thing starting next week is by the end of it, you recognise yourself and be your own best friend. I'll be asking yourself, what is it I want? What do I need? What do I want? Instead of just being this vessel. You can still be a vessel, but it's about allocating specific mindset space for yourself. It's nothing to do with time, because if you want to learn something, like say you're going to Spain and you have to do a crash course in Spanish all of a sudden, you're going to learn a few phrases overnight, aren't you? Before you go. You're going to just go, right, I need to say hello. How do I say hello to these people in Spanish? You're going to learn it pretty much in an instant. You're going to look it up. Google's going to tell you, or in France, bonjour. You're going to learn it, aren't you? So this isn't about learning something. This isn't about time management. This is about actually allocating space within you for you. So you take up more space than everybody else for yourself.
Yeah, love it. I love it. Tina has said, that's great to hear that you don't learn from reading, nor do I. Tina's also said, so true about being your own best friend. Debbie, I think Debbie's been having some challenges getting in, so we'll probably catch on, but she's here. And said, completely agree, love to hear the voice. And she can't wait to hear some more about how to be your own best friend.
Yeah, she's in my course, yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So have you got a link or something like that you can put in?
I'll share it, yeah. I'll share it.
Brilliant. So for everyone that's watching that would want to have any questions or anything, then Helen will put the link in this feed to
I
this
will,
video.
after. I obviously can't multitask and do that at the same time.
Just in case.
My phone is balanced on a tripod, which is standing on my ukulele case.
I love it.
I daren't move.
Oh, brilliant.
You see, that's the other thing. I'm actually doing another course which teaches people how to be real on camera.
Yeah.
Because this year, with all the lockdown and everything, I meant to say that earlier, with all the lockdown and everything, people have been calling me and asking me or sending messages like, yeah, but you look so natural. And I go, yeah, but I didn't always. I've had to learn. I've had to find my way through. There wasn't someone who was visually impaired doing it, so I pretty much had to find a way. I've got a very uncluttered background, and because it distracts my eyes if there's something in the background, but it just seems like to me, that's just normal to me. But it's not normal to other people. They didn't understand. I'm like, well, if there's something moving in the room, I would get distracted. My brain just goes, what's that? Wait, what's that? My head would be moving all over because my eyes would be going here, there and everywhere. So it's little things like that are relevant to me. But actually, during this lockdown period and this sort of self-isolation period, I've realised that the things that I do as standards are really helpful to other people. They've been calling me and asking me. So I actually did put together a course, and James very kindly named it for me as Video Real, as in REAL, as in keeping it real on camera. Much like we're doing now. I mean, I once recorded, back in May, I recorded a 32-minute talk, and it was fantastic. Lisa, I felt so good. Yeah. I posted it without watching it, didn't I? Thankfully. I thank the universe all the time for this one. I posted it without watching it, and basically, I had taken a huge gulp of tea just before I pressing record, and my lipstick had gotten all over my chin. And it was all over my chin, plum full, MAC lipstick, called plum full. It was all over my chin like this, right? Do you know what I did? I left the video on this group, and no one even asked me. No, not one person. I was laughing about it, but the old me would have been mortified, wouldn't it? And I'm like, well, you got to keep it real. That was real. I spoke from the heart. I was sipping my tea because my mouth gets dry quite frequently. I was sipping tea. I rubbed the cup on my chin. Lipstick went on my face. So what? That was the start. Because I was saying to close friends, did you see that video the other day I did for that group? So I had fucking lipstick all over my face. And that's the other thing, because I don't sound posh. People say, but your use of the F word is just so eloquent, Never underestimate the power of a perfectly placed F word. Someone Absolutely. My friend Chris said to me this morning the word conventional, and I was like, don't swear at me.
Not Not allowed.
I know. Can you believe it, Lisa? He actually said the word conventional to me, and I was like, don't swear at me.
That is wrong.
And he left me a voice note saying, okay, I'm laughing now. But that's what it's all about. It's all about just being you. Just like I'm just being me right now, and you're just being you. I've got my daughter in the room, my dog's outside the door, my sons are down the hall, I've got tea, I've got my earrings, it's all good. We're just being us. There is no pretentiousness, or there is no sort of like posh kind of I need to nip in the ensuite, like do my face. There's none of that. We're just here, we're just talking, and it feels proper. It feels like this is the standard. This is how the standard should be. You're not sort of like presenting. I'm not on News at 10. I'm having a conversation with one of my best friends to a group that I adore. A group of people that I love. It's just natural. So that course is video reel, and that's starting on the so not this Monday, the following Monday.
Yeah.
And that's going to be on Facebook. So I've actually got the group, which I was going to show you, wasn't I, before I started posting it, but fuck it, I'll just post it.
Fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. There's nothing important going on here.
Fuck it, just fuck it. Oh, brilliant. I just love it. I just absolutely love what you do. I love the way that you see things, and as you know, I'm quite a direct sort of person.
And that's one of the things I love. Yeah, there's nothing hidden. You just say it like it is, woman.
Yeah, and it's interesting because if I say something, you'll pull me up, but you won't pull me up as in you can't say that. You'll sort of say, well, what about that? And it makes me think a different way, and I think that's why we bounce off each other really well like that, don't we?
Yeah, and you do that to me, because I would never, ever, in a billion years, tell someone what to do. Ever. I don't even tell my own children what to do, because, like I said, I was in that position where things were just pushed into my hands. My arse was being wiped without me even knowing, you know what I mean? I was like, so I would never tell someone, oh, you need to do this, or you should be doing it like this. I would never do that, because it's just not in me. It's not part of my reality. I got rid of it when I could walk, and I never, ever, ever to return. And that applies to myself and everyone around me. I would never do that. So I inspire people to thrive, just like I feel like I'm thriving. I'm 100% holistically healthy. They told me I'd be dead within 100 days, and that was like 5 years, 10 months ago. 5 years, 10 months, and what's the date today, 24th? So 5 years, 10 months and 21 days ago. They told me that I'd be dead within 100 days, and I was like, I don't think you know me very well. Or at all, in fact. Because I know that I'm an inspirational person, and indeed I've just won Inspirational Woman of the Year, Global International Woman of the Year for the 4th time. And I still don't know who's nominated me. They've kept it as a surprise, but the producers of the television show, it's going to be on ITV this year in November. I think it's the 12th of November, but with all the craziness that's going on in the world, they keep saying they will confirm nearer the time, but so far it stands as the 12th. It's one of those things that I don't know who nominated me, but the producers and the directors of this television programme said it's the most nominations they've ever had for one person in one go, like ever. And I was in my head, I was going, yeah, but I didn't do anything. What did I do? And I know exactly what I did. I just do me. That's it. Nothing else. I didn't need to be a performing seal, or I didn't need to be a musician. I didn't need to be an actress. I didn't need to do anything. And that's the point. That's why I've won. Because I know that's why I've won. So when they said, will I make a speech this time? Because I was too scared before, wouldn't take the microphone. I was like, hell yes. You're coming, aren't you? You're coming. You're still coming. I was like, yeah, no, I'm taking that microphone. They've given me like 35 minutes. Can you imagine? 35 minutes. So I think 15 of those minutes will be shown on television and the others will just be in the room, the dining room for everyone. But it's 35 minutes in total. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, 100% yes, I'm doing that. Because I'm so humble. Because it's taken me, I've gone through so many things and I've beaten myself up so bad before. I felt like I needed to be a certain way, I needed to look a certain way, I didn't fit in, I don't look, I felt like, well, who's going to listen to my ramblings? I felt like I needed to deliver it in a certain way or be a certain way, act a certain way, feel a certain way. I didn't understand that it's okay to just sit there and feel like me. Even if I felt like shit in that moment, I could say that. But actually right now, people sometimes talk to me and I'm like, I don't understand. And they look at me like, is she joking? No. Sometimes my brain just goes blank. I have had severe nerve damage. I've had complete nerve system collapse. I've had like every single nerve channel in my body and the wiring and everything was severed. So no, I'm not lying. Sometimes my brain goes blank and I look okay. It's okay to look there, sit there dribbling and my face drooping and I'm saying, I've had nerve damage. Fuck you if you don't understand that. I know I look really good most of the time, but I do have my moments, especially when people are trying to fire loads of information at me, I'm sitting there going, yeah, alright. Didn't hear a thing. I'm learning to play a song on the guitar in my head,
Yeah.
Because I want to sing. I sing to terminally ill children every week that have got HIV or AIDS. Now, a lot of people forget about this problem in society. They get HIV or AIDS because they've been abused. Then they've been removed from their homes. And they're stuck in some sort of orphanage or some sort of hostel. And these places are disgustingly cold in terms of there's no affection, there's no warmth. Nurses come in, especially now with the way things are.
Yeah.
And I'm not allowed in, right? Because I haven't got a spleen and stuff. So at the moment, I'm not allowed in. I used to go in person and play, but I do it on Zoom now. But every week, I log on and I sing various songs, and they challenge me all the time. They're like, they call me Anya, which is it's something to do with special godmother or something. I don't actually know. I think it's from the Seychelles. But Anya, can you learn this week? They challenge me. So sometimes all this information is firing at me, and in my head I'm going, what were them chords again? I don't want to disappoint these. I don't want to disappoint them. And so I sing to them, and even if I don't know the words, I make up new ones. Because it's just brain overload. Just can't. I want to be able to retain stuff, but sometimes I just can't. So I end up having a right old laugh, and I make up songs, and I play the chords because I know I've been playing the guitar since I was 10, so it's it's part of me. It's like a fifth limb. So playing the guitar and being musical and playing musical instruments is natural to me, but learning words associated with the chords and associated with singing everything is just woo. So I sit there with this thing, and we have fun with it. But people forget about these children. They're like. Society's forgotten garbage, really. They're treated accordingly as well. Nurses come in and they look like spacemen. They're completely covered. They can't touch them, nothing. So, I sing, and it's sort of for me because I did have autoimmune disease, immune deficiency, and everything because I did have my spleen out and I've lost organs. But wherever I go, if I say I had immune deficiency because I had a splenectomy, they say, oh yeah, you've got HIV, yeah, we understand. No, I haven't got HIV. I had my spleen removed. And it's I find myself repeatedly saying that. I once went for a tax interview and Angelica was with me, my daughter, and the woman just wouldn't accept it. So I just let her put it down on the paper. I just said, I've said it so many times, I don't have HIV. She wrote down HIV anyway. She was going to do it anyway. Anyway, I ended up getting huge... money back off my tax because she'd written it. So we went home and I was like, oh well, I'll keep that. I don't feel bad. She wouldn't listen. I did try.
Yeah. Poetic license.
Yeah.
Wow. Honestly, I just love the fact we've been looking forward to doing this, and when we realised what the significance of date was as well, I think that really just brought home how important it was to have this chapter.
A divine intervention, isn't it? Like we picked this date because I had said to you originally my daughter's baby was due on the 20th, wasn't it? And I was going to become Muti is ancient Anglo-Indian Sanskrit language for if your youngest daughter, is the first one in the family to have a baby, then you become a Muti. If your oldest daughter, then you become just a nana, you know. Like, so I felt all special and stuff like, I'm a Muti now. Like it suddenly dawned on us that when she went into labour the night before, I said, but Imogen, like, I'm sure that's it. And, you know, we've got the book out, you know, the old sort of like family Bible kind of Anglo-Indian textbook. And we looked it up and it was in there. And she was like, oh, that's amazing, Mum, you know. Like, so it was so me, just so me.
And how are they?
They're amazing. She turned 2 weeks old today, Keris. So it's Keris Angela Rose. So she's got my middle name. So it's just amazing, yeah. I'm not all over them because, you know, we're quite the independent bunch. Although we're really close and we do quite a lot of things together, I wanted her to have the experience because when I had my own children, I didn't want anyone round. Yeah. I wanted to enjoy it myself first and soak up that smell and just be, you know. So that's what she's doing. She's coming to grips with breastfeeding and she phones me all the time, you know. She's rang me 3 times today. Like, it's so weird. I've never spoken to my daughter this much in her entire life, you know. In the last 2 weeks, she's been on the phone. I'm thinking, who is this woman? But it's brought us really close together because she's realising, you know, some of the things that she's heard me being really fierce about in the past. She's now waking up in the morning and she's having similar thoughts, like she doesn't agree with vaccines, like I didn't agree, you know. I didn't want, because I couldn't understand the printed sheet, you know what I mean. I was saying, if it's not dangerous, then why do I have to sign it, you know? Why aren't you, if it's for the greater good, why do I have to agree, you know? And I can't possibly agree because I can't see the words, I don't understand the writing. So, you know, I was constantly having arguments. Now she's having those arguments. Where people thought I was a bit strange before, she's now morphing into that herself, and she's saying, I really understand it now, Mum.
Yeah. And that is so cool, isn't it? Because, you know, she's going to be inspired by you.
Seriously, breasts as well. Like, I'm constantly saying to my daughters, look after your breast tissue. Like, you'll thank me for this when you're older. Trust me, you will thank me. When you're young, you take everything for granted. And when you're older and they're sitting on your stomach, it's a different story, isn't it? Like, I don't have that problem because I've had loads of weight loss and I kept up with the exercise and everything. But so I'm able to say to them, please look after your chest because you'll get all sorts of problems. Like, well, anyway, she rang me up late last night and she said, I'm so glad you taught me about correctly fitting underwear. Yeah. She did. She was like, thank you, Mum, for teaching me about the importance of correctly fitting underwear. And I was like, yes. Because at the time I was saying it, she wouldn't listen to me. She was very dismissive, you know. But actually, it went in.
Brilliant. I didn't think we'd be talking about underwear. Mind you, anything could happen actually when we have a conversation. Oh, brilliant. And it's really funny because I said, right, what we need to do is try and keep it to an hour because
I haven't got a clock anywhere in my... I have no clue.
Yeah, so, and I just looked and I went, hour and 20 minutes.
In the blink of an eye, look at that. Blink of an eye. I really do genuinely miss seeing you though, because we used to see each other all the time and it's like so weird. But I can come down now, I think. Because we're not, you know, I don't have 6 in my house, and I'm pretty sure you don't. I don't have 6 people in my house anymore. Because, you know, being the mum of 6.
Yeah.
And then,
well, we don't really pay attention to silly rules, do we? That are really silly. But let's not go there with that conversation. We'll leave it at that, and we'll catch up in person.
Yeah, I think we should, because, you know.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
Anything could happen. It frequently does.
Yeah, we were talking on the authors' Zoom last night about the book, and we were saying that we'll have to organise a bit of a get-together somewhere. So I'll let you know when
when
it happens. We'll get some of the CFG gang
to meet
up. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I can interview you, woman.
You can interview me, did you say?
I can interview you, yeah.
Yeah. Who was it that said to me? Was it Amy Adams? I think it was. Yeah. And she went. Whoever it was, I think it was Amy. She went. So when have you been interviewed then? And I went, sorry. She went, when are you going to be interviewed? And I
Right,
went,
that's it. So the first Thursday in November, I will interview you for your Shine Your Light interview.
Okay.
Because I know you've already booked up October.
It'll have to be the second week. Oh, hello.
Sorry.
There you go.
It had to be the second week in November.
Hang on 1 second. That's interesting you can say that, actually.
I can interview you for it.
Oh, you know what date that is? Second week November.
God, what?
On the Thursday. It's the 12th of November. You were talking about.
Oh, there you go then,
awards.
see? There you go. We'll do it. We'll do it that week though.
Yeah, we'll do it. Right, let me put this in my notes. We'll do it. Love it. Okay.
We've shared the stage. We've interviewed each other. We've been on the radio. You know, this is, you know, we have to do this. This is like the cherry on top.
Love it. Brilliant. The second week November. Okay, it's a date.
Awesome.
Right, let's just do these messages so that we can. So Tina's saying, I can't wait to watch your speech at your awards ceremony. Debbie's saying, you did so much more than you know. You just are Helen.
That's lovely.
Debbie's saying, going to be excited to see you at the awards. Mum's laughing because I think we said something a bit cheeky.
Hi, Mum.
Debbie said, this is so wonderful. I'm so pleased that you're enjoying this insight into your next generation. She is an amazing gift. Yeah. And Debbie said, that would be great. Turning the tables, Lisa. Tina said, defo Helen, you must interview Lisa. That's it now, isn't it?
They're all going to be sending me secret questions to ask. You know, you do realise I'm going to get like a list of things like you must ask Lisa this. You know, like.
Oh, how funny! Yeah. The thing is, I'm an open book, aren't I? So anything can happen. Oh, brilliant! That'd be amazing actually, because it's the 12th. So my mum's birthday is on the 11th.
Oh wow!
So it can't be on the 11th. But any other day is fine.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting. So the producers will tell me, but it's around about that time. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be the weekend, not the Thursday. So I think we're good.
Yeah, but if the awards were on the 11th, Mum would totally understand. It would be fine. It would be fine. But yeah, sounds amazing. Might have to get myself a really funky coloured new suit.
Oh my goodness! I you know, just don't even know what suits me anymore. It's not about what suits me, it's how I feel wearing it, really. That's what it's all about for me. Like, I don't really go for the look, it's how I feel wearing it.
Yeah.
That's what I go for. So at the moment it's so hard because you can't try anything on, or you can't sort of like, you know, I sort of feel like I've had my hands tied.
Yeah,
with that.
Absolutely. The only thing I bought clothes-wise are new shirts.
Yeah, but things you're used to buying a lot of, aren't you? You know how to buy yourself a shirt, right?
Yeah,
I don't know how to buy myself a fancy dress to go to a glittering awards ceremony.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't be grabbing my little LBD, that's for sure. Sorry, did you need to spit your...
I do have a fairy godmother like ball gown that's been made into a tea-length size. If push comes to shove, I'm just going to wear that and just go as that. Like, be all sort of like enchanted and mystical.
You realise you said that on camera,
right? I know.
Everyone's going to be waiting for this dress.
Well, I wore it. There's pictures on Facebook already. I wore it to raise money for a children's hospice to take children out for the day. They needed specialist equipment and stuff, and I wore it. I was a fairy godmother at the Magic Theatre glitter ball event, and I wore it then. So I've worn it actually 3 times to raise money for ill children. But I think I identify with children are amazing because I did have a son. I adopted him because he had brainstem cancer, and he died in my arms on the 8th of December 2014. But he was 9, so Jules, his name was Julian, but he changed his name to Jules Rose, when I adopted him. But they just have such an insight into life. It's like, what's important? People get really wound up and worked up about just mundane stuff, and
Yeah.
when you're faced with death, like I was, and like they are, on a frequent basis, it's your whole mindset is totally different. It's like you watch people's mouths move, and it means nothing. It just doesn't go in. You just don't absorb it because it means nothing. Your outlook on life is totally different. It's like for the boys in one of the homes that I'm singing to tomorrow evening, for example, they care about, they want to pretend to be lost boys, like Peter Pan. And so we sing a lot of songs, and they explore life through the singing. Like they'll be, the most important thing to them is tomorrow night, they're going to be in their minds, they're going to be flying, and they're going to feel it because it's going to come through the music and through my voice of telling the story. And they're so excited, and the thrill of it, so they can cope with anything that's thrown at them that day, tomorrow. They won't even be registering. They can have like 100 needles for something, test after test after test, but they don't care because they know that at a certain time they're going to turn on a device and we're going to be singing and flying and stuff, and I'm going to be sprinkling glitter all around like I do, and it's going to be an amazing magical experience. And so that's what their priority is. Everything else is just stuff, It's like it's become. So I think talking about being terminally ill, because the one thing that nobody talks about is how it actually feels. I had a lady today saying that she's decided to give up chemo and she's going to be going home. So many people were like, "Oh, that's so sad. You're such a strong person. I'm praying for a miracle." But then I morphed and said, "Well, I'm standing at your side." And everything changed in that moment. Like she was like, "Yeah, I can do this now." Because I said, it's totally 100% your decision. Decide for yourself what you want. Like, and your priorities change when you're faced with real serious illness. I mean, real serious illness. Not just like you haven't just had to like run to the toilet a few times that morning. I'm talking like real. No one talks to you about that, how it feels, and nobody talks about it now, even still. But it feels like you're in a place of acute surrender. And it's enlightening. It's not a sad, deep, traumatic thing that everyone thinks it is. You surrender. You surrender to it. You give everything up to it. Like you're like, okay, well this is here. It's like having an unwanted guest that's moved in permanently, and you can't apply for an eviction order. It's there, and that's it. And you've got to find a way of accepting it and then dealing with it. Because otherwise you're just overwhelmed. That's a different space to be, isn't it? Then that's terrifying. But so talking with children and communicating with children is something that I do really well. I never thought I was that person, but then the lockdown started and I felt bad for them being left, and I saw a nurse on video call once, and I said, "Is that how they look? That's monstrous." Like, I couldn't bear it. I was like, "Well, let's sing a song," and I started to, it just flowed naturally, but I never thought I was that person, but clearly I am.
Yeah.
Like a fairy. They all think I'm a fairy.
I would say a cheeky joke there, but obviously I'm way too...
Off camera, honey, off camera.
Yeah.
We can do that later.
Yeah, exactly. So, we could sit and chat for hours, as we know, but we do need to go to bed at some point this evening. So, as you know, I always finish a Shine Your Light with, and this could be in any context. If somebody is facing a challenge, what 3 things do you think are really important for them to do to be... What would you say? So 3 things if someone's facing a challenge.
Your inner dialogue is key. Change your inner dialogue. Instead of bringing the past into the present moment all the time, talk in these terms. So instead of saying, oh, I always feel like this, I did used to feel like this, but from this moment on I'm going to feel like this. And so you're changing your subconscious programming. So the second thing is your subconscious programming, like continuously telling yourself, yes, I can. Whatever it is, right across the board, yes, I can. And just keep on saying it, yes, I can. I can actually, yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is continuity of your subconscious programming. So it's not something you can do like once and it go in. You have to repeatedly be saying it over and over again. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. You know, yeah, that's subconscious programming. And the third thing is be your own best friend. You know what you like. You know what makes you feel good. You know what you need. No one else on the planet is going to understand that better than you are, or that you already do. So, be your own best friends. And then, you know, Lisa and I are your best friends too. You know, we're here. You don't have to be doing this by yourself. But you are the only person in the world that knows 100% what you need, what you want, and what you desire out of life. And as soon as you can start learning to communicate that more fully, then we will be able to stand by your side and do that with you. So those are the three things.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for being you.
Thank you.
That's it. I don't really need to say anything else. Thank you so much for being you.
I just love being part of this group, and the challenges and everything is just amazing. I mean, Irana said about the challenges, they are really important. I know I don't join in as often as I'd like. I mean, I have when I can, but they are extremely important because we have a really special community here. There is no other groups like this, is there? On social media, there isn't, because we all interact with each other. We've all got to know each other. You know, we laugh together. You know, we cry together. You know, there's we share stuff together. You know, life is happening in this group all the time, and that's a really, really, it's magnificent testament to you for holding it all together and bringing so many amazing people together. It's just amazing.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, because you always speak so highly of CFG, and as you know, it's got such a huge place in my heart, and this, you know, special people are in here, and soon they're not so special, they don't last very long in here. as you know. As you know, after we have...
I know, you're all about, if your name's not down, you're not coming in now, aren't you?
Yeah. But
we'll make a rapper of you yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Your name's not down, you're not coming in, not tonight. Not tonight.
But I love it, and it's, and these are such a good way for everybody to get to know everyone. It's like, next week is Tracy Haravan. Now, Tracy is one of my fellow book sisters from when I was an author in Pay It Forward. And she has become such a huge part of this group, because she joins in, she's just an advocate for just supporting. And she is here next week. Wow. So we'll get to learn a lot more. So thank you. Thank you for being you, and thank you for coming into my life.
Oh, thank you for just crash landing into my... With all your yellow. I mean, come on. I don't think everybody realises that that's why when we were doing stuff and planning stuff, you said, I've got to do it in yellow. So special, isn't it? Just special.
You noticed that, didn't you?
Yeah, it's just so special. No, I mean, like with the group colours, and even when we go to do events and talks and stuff, we try and include it somehow because it's special.
Yeah.
So it's our like power colour. It's pretty much whatever we're doing, we include yellow in it somewhere, don't we?
Oh yeah, big time. Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you.
Thank you.
Such a hug, honey.
Thank you, everybody, for joining in as well. That was amazing.
Yeah. It's honestly, again, it's like there's been more comments. Let me read these. making sure.
And a huge shout out to Ivan for providing me with herbal tea.
Oh, Ivan, go you. What a star.
I know, because my mouth just gets so dry all the time.
Yeah.
It's from all those biopsies and everything that I had to have before. It's like in the saliva gland and where I was stabbed, and that, so my mouth gets stuck together. So, as a public speaker, you know, sort of it's a bit of an occupational hazard. I have to keep sipping.
So, that's funny. Debbie said, better get our thinking caps on, Tina, for the interview with me. I can imagine. I can imagine some of the questions I'm going to be answering. Brilliant. So much love coming your way. Debbie's saying near-death really does make you think differently. It's been wonderful listening to you, Helen. Mum is saying it's amazing. Debbie's saying brilliant, Helen, such great pointers. Mum's saying catch up soon. Debbie, thank you, Lisa and Helen. Tina, fabulous interview, love to you both. Mum saying thank you both, it's been lovely to listen to you. And Yasmin sending lots of hearts, and yeah, what can you say?
Beautiful.
Mwah. We
Thank
will
you
definitely,
so much.
without a doubt, catch up very, very soon.
Definitely.
Yeah, and stay on. We're going back into the green room. See you later, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Take care.
Done.